Okay, so I'm going to go into something else that Mr. Shakevich said, and his committee has been saying it all along. We, parliamentarians, are in a conflict of interest, making our own rules about how elections are conducted. What's your opinion on that?
And it's an interesting question. I mean, there's no denying that there's an interest in any parliamentarian in the rules that govern their election. I don't think anybody would deny that. I think it's interesting that when you look at the history of changes to the legislation over the last 25 years, two things stand out. There's often an attempt to secure cross-party support. It doesn't always succeed, and it shouldn't be a rule because it shouldn't be a requirement for unanimous consent because that would give a veto to the opposition, which I don't think is fair. But the vast majority of changes have come from really the vast majority have come from recommendations of chief electoral officers, which come from a neutral source, often following consultations, including consultations of political parties. And they're examined in this committee, and they're disposed of one way or another, and certainly not all have made their way to the legislation, but many have. And I think that process is a healthy one. And I think that's something that needs to be maintained. It does not prevent additional changes, and I've seen some very good changes over the years that have not come from chief electoral officers. So I'm not saying there's a monopoly on wisdom here, but the fact that there is a process for a neutral policy intake and a cross-party examination of that neutral policy intake, I think is a good system. It's provided for in the legislation, and it needs to be maintained.